Okay, so let's go ahead and do the review, and then we'll handle the rest of your questions, okay? Okay, here we go. So the first thing on the circle here, the first thing you notice is nothing is labeled. On the test tomorrow, nothing is labeled also. So, okay, there's nothing labeled. So, some of you are still having trouble counting the unit circle. I get it. I think for some of you it is difficult still. But pay attention, because I'm going to do this for the last time. Pay attention. So first of all, the dark lines are 0, 90, 180, and 270, right? We all know that. So if you look then, halfway, this is halfway. So which one is that? That's pi over 4, right? Now, the other ones we know are pi over 6 and pi over 3. But there's more than that lines, right? So that means these are 15 degrees. So this one is pi over 6, and this is pi over 3, yes. And so this one and this one are 15, right? Okay. So if I wanted 4 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6. So first of all, there's a couple ways to do this. But watch. How many lines to get to pi over 6? 2. So if I wanted 4, we'd count 8, right? So here's 1 pi over 6. 2 pi over 6. 3 pi over 6. 4 pi over 6 would be right here. Okay? So if I want 3 pi over 4. So how many do you go up to go to pi over 4? 1, 2, 3. So that's 1. 1, 2, 3. That's 2. 1, 2, 3. 3 pi over 4. It's 4. I was even holding up 3 fingers and he said 4. Okay? All right. So does everybody see this? Also, so look, this is two lines. This is 30 degrees, right? So here, if I wanted to go here, that's 180 plus 2 lines. That's plus another 30. So it's 180 plus 30, which is 210. You could also count around, and it would be 7 pi over 6. Okay? Which is pi over 6, which is 30 times 7 is 210. Okay? All right. So that's for your counting, and that helps when you're doing these down here. Because some of you, I don't know where you were making up your numbers from, but they were made up. For sure. For sure. Okay. So, first of all, 4 and 135. So, 135 would be 90 plus 45. So, where would that be? 90 plus 45 would be right here, right? So, it would be 4 pi over 3 or 135. Same thing. Okay? And then I'm going to go out 4. So, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to right here. Well, it wasn't easy for everyone, Cardarius. Okay, 3 and 90. So at 90, we always do the theta first. So 90, and then we count out 3. 1, 2, 3. So start with 60. Go to 60 degrees first, which is pi over 3. And then the negative 2 tells me what? I have to go through the pole, and some of you get out your IDs because you cannot stay on a straight line to save your lives. So if you go through, then you go negative 2, so this is the line. Okay? So 6 and 4 pi over 3. So pi over 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 4 pi over 3, and I want to count out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Five pi over 4. So first of all, really quick in my mind, I know that 4 pi over 4 is 180, right? Because the 4's cancel out, and that's over to here. So 5 pi over 4 is 180 plus 1 more half. So here is my 5 pi over 4. I'm positive. But I want to go negative, so I have to go back 1, 2, 3, 4. So always start with the theta, and if it's negative, you have to go back through.
Wait, she's trashing on us because we can't count. And then she can't count. That's the wrong line, Ness.
It's pi over 4.
But you've been counting it different.
1, 2, 3. Oh, wrong line. This one. Okay, look, number 1, I didn't even count on number 1 because this is 90 plus 45, which is halfway. That is correct.
How many rings?
Oh, I went out the ring. The rings are wrong? Oh, yeah. Yeah, wrong lines. Okay, at least I got on the right lines, okay? Give me a break here. All right. No breaks. No breaks. Okay, so first of all, so we want to find 3 alternate polar coordinates for the given points. Okay, so let's find 210. So 210 is pi over 6 times 7. It's 30 times 7. So that's 6 pi over 6 if I go all the way around, and then I'm going to go 2 more. So 1, 2. So this is 210. So 210. So here's my positive. I came around to 210. So what's the negative to get back to 210? Yeah, 150. And then I'm going to have -1 and -1. So at 210, if I go all the way across, what is it at? 30. So that's 30, and that's my positive. And how do I get all the way back around to make it negative? Negative 330. So then I'm going to have 4, -4, and -4. So I have a -5 pi over 3. So pi over 3 is 60 times -5, so it's a -300. So -5 pi over 3 is all the way around here. So what's the positive to get up to there? Pi over 3. So now, how do I get, so if this is my -5 pi over 3, and that's where I started, you want to go all the way across. So you have to find out what's this right here. It's not 270. Yeah, this is, yeah, that's exactly, and guess what? Sometimes that's how I do it too. So it's 240, which is going to be 60 times 4, right? So it's 4 pi over 3. No. And it tells you tomorrow when to use radians and when to use degrees. And if it gives it to you in radians, you have to answer in radians. So what's this one going to be? What? Right. 2 pi. So this is 360, and this is 2 pi. And count your lines right, unlike me tomorrow. Okay, so everybody good with that? Yes? All right, so next, it says find the polar coordinates, which means I need r and theta. That means I'm given x and y. So the r is going to equal x squared plus y squared. And the theta is going to equal the inverse tangent of y over x. And if x is negative, you add 180 or pi, depending on what it is. So number 1, if I have 9 and 0, so 9 squared plus 0 squared, the square root, r equals 9. So the inverse tangent of 0 over 9. So I'm asking, where is the tangent 0? Okay, pi over 2 is going to be 1 over 0. That's going to be 0, negative 1 over 0. So look. So I want to know where's the tangent 0. So that means that I need a sine of 0. Pi over 2, the sine is 1.
Oh, where's tangent?
Sine, where's the sine? Pi or 0. It's not confusing. And here's how I know it's 0 and not pi. Is the x positive or negative? So it has to be 0. If the x was negative, it would equal pi.
So if we don't put the degree tomorrow, is it wrong?
Well, it's either got to be, yeah. Either the 0, either label it 0 or the radian. No. All right, for real. For real, for real. Okay, so what's the r for the next one? 3. Okay, so listen now. This is the same thinking. So this time I have negative 3 over 0. That tells me it's undefined. So at 0, negative 3. So tangent is 0 here and here. Tangent is undefined here and here. So this is pi over 2 and this is 3 pi over 2. It has to be one or the other. Because it's a negative y, so it has to be the 3 pi over 2. It'll tell you tomorrow which one to put.
So it's undefined, it only has...
If it's undefined, you only have 2 options, 0 and pi.
Well, what about that one?
This, I just said, this is 0. The undefined, you only have 2 options, pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2.
But then, but wait, on the other one you said you only had 2.
Because the tangent is 0. This is undefined. I'm going to punch you. Okay. Yeah, you are.
I'm going to take half of it because I know how to get the y. I mean the x.
What is the problem? I'm like, seriously, tell me what's the problem. You have 4 options on these. 4 options. Isaac, 4. Look, 0 divided by 9 is 0. You only have 2 places on the unit circle. It's either 0 or pi. 9, 0 is 0. If it was negative 9, 0, it would be pi. So here, this is negative 3 over 0. You can't divide by 0. It's undefined. You only have two choices. It's either here or here. This is 0, negative 3. That's 3 pi over 2. Okay. How do I do number 10?
You end up, you do a squared plus 6 squared, and square root that.
So it's 10. And then how do I find the tangent now? And you take the inverse tangent, right? It's the only place we're taking the inverse tangent. So that's not on the unit circle because we don't know 3/4, so you'd have to use your calculator, your handy dandy calculator. Yes. And you end up with 36.869. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to truncate on all of them. 3. Okay, so to find the rectangular coordinates, we're doing r. You guys can do that one. Okay, so polar coordinates, you have to find r and theta. Rectangular coordinates, you're going to switch from x and y to r and theta. So you go r cosine theta, r sine theta, and that gives you your x and y. So, all right, so listen. At 180 degrees, which is right here, what is that point on the unit circle? -1 and 0, correct? So the cosine is -1. So r cosine theta is 2 times -1, -2. R sine theta is 2 times 0, which is 0. So at 90 degrees, my point is 0, 1. -4 times 0 is 0. -4 times 1, -4. So do I know what 70 is? So I'm going to do 8 cosine of 70, 8 sine of 70 in the calculator. And we're going to truncate at 3. Okay. Okay. Next. So it says describe the graph. So if you start with an r or a theta, you have to end up with an x and a y. If you start with an x and a y, you have to end with r and theta. So the r, I start with r, so what do I have to end with? Okay, so if I square both sides, I'm going to get r squared equals 36. So we get x squared plus y squared equals 36. That's it. So, what is x equal in polar? R cosine of theta. So I want to solve for r. So if I divide by cosine, what's the inverse of the cosine? Secant. Okay, I'm going to come back to 18 and 19. I didn't forget. I just don't want to fight about it yet. All right. So r cosine of theta. What does r cosine of theta equal? X equals 3. R sine of theta. Y equals -2. Yes, the x's should have been thetas. And number 22, I have x squared plus y squared. So r equals 7. Because r squared equals 49, you have to take the square root, right? So r equals 7. Okay. So 18 and 19. Okay. So for 18. Okay. So y equals negative x. Okay? So if I divide by x, okay, so I have tangent of theta equals negative 1. So I want to know, where does the tangent equal a negative 1? Right? So first of all, what is the tangent at pi over 4? 1. This is the tangent. So I have to go over here, right? So if this is 1 pi over 4, this is 2 pi over 4, this is 3 pi over 4. So either one, but theta equals 3 pi over 4. We're not arguing. I just said I needed to have a breath before we did it. Okay. All right, so next, I have theta equals 120. All right, so theta equals 120. So I start with the theta. What do I have to end with? X and y. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the tangent on both sides. So I'm going to have the tangent of theta equals the tangent of 120. So the tangent is of 120, first of all, is 2 60s, right? 2 times pi over 3. That puts us over here, right? Okay, so first of all, it's going to put us over here, which means my x is negative and my y is positive. And what's the reference angle? The reference angle is pi over 3. So at pi over 3, what is the cosine? No, square root of, the cosine is up, right? So it's a half. And what's the sine? Square root of 3 over 2. And so at 120, the only thing that's going to change is it's not a positive 1/2, but what is it? Negative 1/2. So I'm going to take the square root of 3 over 2 divided by a negative 1/2. And what does that give you? So if I do the square root of 3 over 2 divided by a negative 1/2, it gives you a negative square root of 3, right? So the tangent is y over x. And I'm running out of room, I'm sorry. So I get y over x equals a negative square root of 3. So you just move the x to the other side. So you get y equals. It's really not, I just talked really slow. That was